There's a strange double standard in our world that most people don't consciously question. If someone makes a lot of money selling something people don't really need, they're admired. They're called driven, smart, or business savvy. But when someone charges for something people genuinely need, especially healing, emotional support, or spiritual growth, the tone suddenly changes. Immediately, there's discomfort, suspicion, and judgment, and very quickly, the question becomes moral instead of practical. Why is charging for distraction respected, but charging for healing debated? Because this isn't really about money. It's about what we've been taught to value. Let's get started. Look at the things we already accept without hesitation. Luxury cars, expensive watches, designer handbags. None of these are necessities. They exist to signal status, identity, and success. No one asks whether the price is spiritually aligned or morally justified. Entire industries are built around alcohol, cigarettes, and ultra-processed food. Products that damage our health over time. We know the impact. We've seen the research, yet it's still normal, still respected, and still called good business. Why? Because those things offer immediate gratification. They're visible, tangible, and socially reinforced. You can see the car, you can wear the watch, you can taste the dopamine hit. The reward is instant. Now introduce healing work, therapy, energy work, coaching, spiritual teaching. And suddenly, motives are questioned. Now people want purity, and now money feels suspicious. But healing doesn't offer instant external reward. It offers long-term internal change. You can't photograph emotional regulation. You can't post nervous system stability on social media. And you can't show off breaking a generational pattern at a dinner party. Because one feeds short-term pleasure and visible status. The other requires long-term responsibility and invisible growth. That contrast tells you this isn't about economics. It's about what we've been conditioned to value. What's immediate, visible, and socially rewarded over what's internal, gradual, and transformative. We've been trained to believe that charging for wants equals ambition, while charging for needs equals exploitation. But that belief doesn't survive real life. Food is a necessity. You can't survive without it. Yet farmers charge, supermarkets charge, and restaurants charge, and no one sees that as immoral. Because we understand that growing food requires land, labor, transport, and infrastructure. Shelter is also a necessity. Builders charge, landlords charge, and utility companies charge. We don't call that greed. We call that structure. The more essential something is, the more energy and responsibility it requires to provide consistently and safely. Healing is no different. It requires training, supervision, personal development, emotional regulation, and continued learning. It isn't someone lighting a candle and hoping for the best. It's skill, discipline, and responsibility. And responsibility has weight. People say healing isn't essential, but when you look deeper, mental health directly impacts physical health. Chronic stress affects hormones, immunity, sleep, and digestion. Emotional patterns shape relationships, financial decisions, and career paths. Unhealed trauma doesn't just disappear, it repeats. It leaks into reactions. It gets passed to the next generation. If food fuels the body, healing fuels the quality of how someone experiences life. You might survive without inner work, but you won't thrive, and there's a difference. Now here's where it gets uncomfortable. If healing truly isn't essential, why does unresolved pain shape so much of human behavior? Why do the same relational patterns repeat? Why does burnout keep cycling? And why does anxiety become normal? We underestimate healing because its results are internal and gradual, but its absence is loud. And when something is underestimated, people expect it to be free. This is where the balance shifts. When healing work is expected to be free, the entire weight moves onto the healer. They're the ones paying for the training, certifications, and continued education. They're the ones investing years mastering their craft and regulating their own nervous systems so that they can hold others safely. They're the ones listening deeply, carrying emotional intensity, managing energy, and maintaining ethical responsibility. If there's no exchange, one person gives, the other consumes. That's not balance, that's depletion. Every system in life operates on exchange. Breathe in, breathe out, effort and result, giving and receiving. When exchange disappears, imbalance follows. And here's the deeper truth. When people refuse to invest in healing, they pay in stress, in broken relationships, in lost time, and in repeating cycles. The question isn't whether healing costs something. The question is whether we choose to pay consciously or unconsciously. Money isn't spiritual or unspiritual. It's neutral. It's concretized energy, and it represents time, focus, effort, and priority. What you're willing to spend money on reveals what you value. If someone invests in trends, technology, nights out, or status symbols, but hesitates to invest in healing, that isn't about morality, it's about priority. And money flows toward what matters, and where money flows, your energy follows. There's also a practical truth here. When people invest financially, they engage differently. They pay attention, they apply what they learn, and they're more likely to follow through. Although free can inspire, it's often consumed casually and forgotten just as quickly. But transformation usually requires participation, and participation deepens when there's meaningful exchange. Not because you're being manipulated, but because this is about human behavior. And commitment increases when something costs you time, effort, or resources. If we're comfortable paying for things that distract us, numb us, overstimulate us, or slowly damage our health, but uncomfortable paying for things that support healing, awareness, and growth, then money was never the issue. Value is. Money is simply concretized energy. It flows toward what we prioritize, and it amplifies what we support. If we invest in distraction, we strengthen distraction. If we invest in consumption, we strengthen consumption. If we invest in healing, responsibility, and growth, we strengthen consciousness. Healing is not charity, growth is not exploitation, and exchange is not greed. It's balance. Every system in life operates on exchange: breath, food, relationships, effort, and reward. When one side only gives and the other only takes, imbalance follows. So the real question isn't whether someone should charge for spiritual work or healing. The real question is, what are you choosing to value? Because whatever you fund, you fuel, and whatever you fuel, you create more of. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this video helpful, you need to watch my other video. Everything is an exchange, whether you like it or not, which breaks down how every interaction in life operates on the balance of giving and receiving, whether you acknowledge it or not. It will completely change the way you see giving, receiving, and responsibility. Until next time, take care, stay balanced in your exchanges, and always stay inspired.